إيجابية يعني.
Hello.
خلص الأسبانية.
أهلا وسهلا. Well, I have to say that the movie really. Well, I read the book before and I watched this movie, and I cry a lot. I can see my family there. I can feel them, and still I'm a little bit. It's really well. I have to say that my family always told me about this because my grandfather was a kid, well, all of them. Their parents were fighting in that war. And even my grandfather was in south of France. There were refugee camps, so they spent more than 1 year, I think, there. And his father was in the jail like Censi. He was waiting 2 years until maybe tomorrow you will die, tomorrow maybe not. So it's so emotional. This. I have to say, as someone said, that not both sides lose. One win and the other lose, and we lost. And it was for a long time, not even when the war stopped, during the 40 years, you can feel that. And still, if I can say, yeah, sorry. Okay. And still you can feel it now. It's not...
How can you feel it now? See, that's the thing that I want to know.
Yeah.
How did Franco affect the country, and how is it still affecting?
Because there were an oppression after the war. There were persecution.
Yeah, but it's still, for example, when you have a conflict on the street or you have a protest, for example, for the current government that it has, in theory, has nothing to do with Franco. You still see young people that didn't live in the civil war talking to each other in terms of you are a red, you are a communist, or you are you are a fascist. So they didn't live in that moment of history, but they are still talking with that language. But so you can put it there.
It's the right parties, they come from that party. Most of the people, when the democracy came, they continue as a democracy party like nothing happened. So I think there were no justice after. There are still bodies in the roadside, in the ditches, that families cannot take this body and bury it on the cemeteries. They're still there and nobody is doing nothing.
So this is going on for 40 years?
40 years until now.
More than 40 years.
Until now, there is just one group that is called Historic Memorial, you can say, that these people is the people who is volunteers digging and finding these bodies, these dead bodies, who can give it to the families, because they are still in the ditches, in the roadside. It's full Spain still.
It's like the conflict is still open because this part they didn't have the chance to say their version. The government of Franco hide them. This is the version that we want to show to the world, and if you have something to say, sorry, it's not your moment. So they had to hide, they couldn't cry, they couldn't pray, they couldn't take the bodies of their relatives, they couldn't put them in a cemetery, they couldn't pray for them, they couldn't do anything, and they were keeping that inside. And all these women that you see in the movie, some of them are still alive. Yeah,
the daughters are still alive, trying to bury their families.
طيب مشان ما excuse me بس مشان اطلعي قولي اللي بدك تسأليه ورد ممكن يجاوبك مشان الحديث ما ياخذ بس personal.
لا ده الحديث ده كل الناس. Okay, my question is, did any of the women write their testimony?
Yeah, many of them. Actually, you have documentaries in YouTube. The thing is that they are in Spanish, and this is a pity. But for example, the women who wrote the book was meeting all these women that were in the prison, and some of them were ready to die, but they finally didn't do it. And they tell their testimony, and this movie and the book are based on this testimony. So the characters are not real, but the stories that they are telling were real and were happening every single day in the prisons and after the prison and outside the prisons.
And after the war too.
Yeah.
Okay,
خلاص finish?
let's say
Finish?
I think.